Hey everyone, it's Carolina, and this is Beyond the Accent, the podcast about language, accent, identity, connection, and all the messy, magical layers of being human through speech. Today's episode is inspired by a book that I've been reading that honestly really, truly impressed me in terms of how evident things may not be so evident to us. It's called Talk, The Science of Conversation and the Art of Being Ourselves by Alison Wood Brooks. And if you've ever walked away from a conversation thinking, did I talk too much? Or why did that feel so awkward? Or even, wait, was that a connection? Like, what was this? This episode is for you. Because here's the thing. We are, as Brooks says, designed to talk, but most of us walk around underestimating our ability to do it well. So today we're diving into the 4-part talk framework. Yes, talk is in fact an acronym. What most people get wrong about conversation, why we're actually better conversationalists than we think, how questions, levity, and kindness shift everything. And we're going to look into real examples from Brooks's interview on podcast from the Green Notebook. And yes, how this intersects with voice, accent, and identity. If you're ready, let's talk. Now, Alison Wood Brooks is a behavioral scientist at Harvard Business School, and her book is the result of decades of research into human conversation. Not just the polite dinner party kind, but awkward job interviews, messy relationship talks, speed dating sessions, sales calls, parole hearings. One of her central claims is this: we underestimate how much other people enjoy talking with us. There's a term for it: the liking gap. In study after study, people rate their conversation partners more favorably than they expect, but they don't believe the favor is returned. This happens in workplace chats, romantic first dates, and even high-stakes negotiations. We talk, we connect, but we still walk away second-guessing the whole thing. Brooks's research shows us that this self-doubt doesn't make us better. It just makes us more likely to avoid conversations altogether. And as she said in her interview on From the Green Notebook, this fear is common even among very senior leaders. One of my favorite lines was this: people don't realize just how hungry we are to feel known. That's what conversation gives us, the opportunity to feel known and to offer that to someone else. So, Brooks introduces a simple but powerful acronym: TALK. T is for topics, choosing what to talk about and reading the room. A is for asking, the art of asking meaningful, generous follow-up questions. L is for levity, humor, lightness, warmth, what makes talking fun. And K is for kindness, prioritizing the other person's experience of the conversation. So why don't we unpack these? T is for topics. We often think good conversation means deep, serious topics, right? Brooks, well, she flips that idea. What matters isn't the depth, she says, right? But how the topic is handled. Even small talk, and I know we've talked about this on the podcast, can feel rich and connecting if we show up with presence, with our real selves. Think about the last time someone asked you, how was your weekend? And actually listened. Like, that's a different conversation than someone glancing at their phone. Brooks says you can talk about traffic and still feel emotionally close to someone if you feel heard, right? So topics don't have to be dramatic. They just have to be alive, the real deal. And Brooks encourages us to follow curiosity, not performance, on our part or that of the listener. A is for asking. Asking is where the magic happens. We know that asking questions builds connection, but Brooks's research shows it's not just any question. It's got to be follow-up questions. Not where you're from, but what brought you here. Not what do you do, but so what do you love about it? She reflects on how many people, even highly intelligent or charismatic, struggle to resist the urge to shift the spotlight back to themselves. Yet people who linger in the space of someone else's answer, who ask, tell me more, they are remembered so much more fondly, so much more often. And this is huge. She found that asking follow-up questions actually makes people like us more. Brooks's studies, including analyses of speed dating transcripts, showed that people who asked more follow-up questions were rated as more interesting and more likable, more fun, even if they themselves said less. At least for levity. Levity is about lightness, play, humor. Not telling jokes necessarily, but bringing warmth to the space between people. That moment when two strangers both laugh at the same awkward silence, that is levity. That's bonding. In the interview, Brooks describes levity as the grease in the gears of human interaction. It makes things go more smoothly. Not because it covers the truth, but because it helps people trust one another enough to get to the truth. So she mentions that intense negotiations or performance reviews, a moment of this kind of levity can completely transform the dynamic, not by avoiding the hard thing, but by reminding both people that they're in it together. So levity is also the rhythm. It's pacing, tone, timing. And yes, this is where your intonation, your musicality, your delivery, all the things I talk about as an accent coach come into play. Levity can be sounded, if you will, as opposed to being merely produced for content. Finally, K is for kindness. This might be my favorite part. Kindness, she says, is often the most overlooked element of conversation. We focus on being clever or fluent or persuasive, but we forget that being a great conversationalist isn't about shining away ourselves. It's about making the other person feel seen. So Brooks goes on to say, if you want to be remembered, don't try to be impressive. Try to be generous. And that stuck with me. Kindness is noticing the person in front of you, sensing when they're tired, letting someone take a breath, offering a conversational life raft when they're floundering. It's also about grace and about assuming the best, like about knowing someone might be nervous or unsure of, say, their vocabulary, or they're just overwhelmed. And when we show up with kindness, we give them space to be themselves. So this book, talk, and the interviews that followed, they made me think more deeply about how much conversation is improvisation. Brooks says we don't script our conversations, we improvise constantly, and we expect ourselves to perform perfectly. I know what she's referring to. Like, think about it. Don't expect to hit every note in jazz, right? We play, we respond, and conversation is very much like jazz, the improvised bit of it. Why shouldn't our conversations be the same? Let's tie this back to what we do here every week. If you're someone living your life in English, maybe it's your second or third language, and you've ever felt like conversations are high-stakes games that you're doomed to lose, Brooks' book is a balm for the soul because it reminds us that the most magnetic people aren't the most articulate necessarily. They're the most curious, the most kind, and the most present. This is where your accent is kind of irrelevant. I can't believe I'm saying it. Your grammar is malleable. Your intonation is trainable. So your presence, right, that interest, that warmth, that is what people are going to remember. So if that is not there, then whatever work you're putting into your producing speech, it kind of becomes less relevant. So if you take anything from this episode, let it be this. You do not need to be perfect in terms of language production, in terms of sound production, to be a brilliant conversationalist, right? You just need to talk. Talk as in T for topics, A for asking, L for levity, and K for kindness. If that is there, then you're definitely going to show up to make a conversation a nice place to be. So one of my favorite moments from Brooks's interviews was the simple reminder. Most conversations don't go badly because we say the wrong thing. They go badly because we stop listening, right? So it's a matter of focus over and over again. This episode is a love letter to letting go of the performance element, embracing the weird, winding path of conversation. Something that it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be just A to B, boom. It's a love letter to talking with curiosity and with a little more grace for ourselves. Thank you for listening. I will be talking to you soon, and I have to say I'm really excited to be introducing interview episodes where it's not just myself and someone whose book I've read, but rather someone whose voice is going to be here to share whatever it is that they have been experiencing and whatever it is that they feel like might be of value to you guys, the listeners. So that is other accent coaches, my colleagues, my friends, my fellow cosmopolitans, a lot of great people who are into languages and who are into connecting whilst talking to other people. So you have a great rest of the day. I will be seeing you in a week's time. Thanks so much for being here.